Hi there, and welcome to Cancer Update 114. Yep, I'm back. So I've had a lot of things happen since I took that break, and you're going to find out all about them. So the first thing I want to say is I'm going to handle comments differently to how I did before. Previously, when I got a negative comment, I would try and change that person's mind or give them an alternate point of view. And maybe sometimes I succeeded, sometimes I didn't. I'm not going to do that anymore. Basically, any negative comments that I get, I'm just going to remove the user straight away. That's it. And what that means is my comments feed is only going to be positive comments. Now, I'm about to outline a situation to you which will explain why I only want positive comments. I would normally say that having a combination of positive and negative comments is, well, obviously more realistic because some people do have negative comments, so it helps you see other people's points of view. So normally that is what I would try and do. However, as the second half of this video is going to outline to you, I'm simply no longer interested in negative comments. It's only the positive ones that I need now. So that's the way I'm going to handle that. So what's happened is 3 weeks ago I did a blood test, and yesterday I was informed of the results, and the results are very bad. Part of the reason it took them 3 weeks to contact me about this is because they referred my matter to what's called an MDT, or a multidisciplinary team, to discuss how they could potentially tackle my situation. So the doctor contacted me yesterday and talked me through it. So just to take you on the journey, what I'll do is I'll pop up on the screen just below me now my CEA and CA19-9 scores from last year as I went through the process of having the ascites, and then the very last reading is the one where the last reading is from October 6 last year. I had my operation on October 26 last year. So if we just look at those figures there on the screen right now, you'll see that my CEA went from 46.5 to 96 over the course of 5.5 months, and my CA19-9 went from 3,900 to 11,000 in 5.5 months. Okay, so then I had the operation on October 26, and now I'll put up on the screen the 2 blood tests from post-op. So as you can see there, on January 25 this year, my CEA was 34 and my CA19-9 was 370. As of 3 weeks ago, my CEA is now 120 and my CA19-9 is 11,000. So in less than 2 months, I've gone up more. Yeah, the difference between those two is more for both the CEA and CA19-9. I've gone up more in less than 2 months than I did in 5.5 months last year. And that means the cancer is inside me and it is extremely active. So this is very, very bad. So I'm having a PET scan whenever they can fit me in. They've set the expectation that will take between 2 and 4 weeks for that to happen. So it's going to be a pretty tough 2 to 4 weeks while I wait for that. And then I'm guessing there's going to be probably 3 days on the end of that before it gets reported and I get the results. So I'm in for a pretty straining, let's say 4 weeks or going on 5 weeks. And it's going to be pretty tough. The doctor has said there's basically two more likely possibilities on the PET scan. One is that it'll show nothing, and what that would mean is the same as when we saw nothing on my PMP PET scans, which means it's diffuse within all of my abdomen and it's a little bit everywhere, but when you add it all up, it's a lot. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that it is a single hotspot that has gone cancerous and it is multiplying like crazy. And if that's the case, we will see one or maybe a small number of really, really hot spotting on the PET scan. And I said, oh, okay, so that would maybe be my small intestine, because that's where that's close to where a lot of the action was last time. And he said, yeah, but it could also just be your lungs. And if you recall, I did have 2 collapsed lungs and a pulmonary embolism straight after my operation. And that pulmonary embolism, which is a clot, is presumably a clot that made its way from my abdomen to my lungs. There's also nothing to say that a cancer cell didn't make it from my abdomen to my lungs as well. So I may have lung cancer going on inside me, but we don't know. It could actually be anywhere on my body. But what we do know is somewhere there is something becoming very, very active inside me. I then spoke to the doctor about voluntary assisted dying because no matter what treatment option he proposes to me, it's going to make my quality of life worse. And at the moment, my quality of life is actually pretty bad. My feet are hurting constantly from the peripheral neuropathy. My back is hurting periodically from the ankylosing spondylitis, although I can treat that with the TENS machine. It does also respond when I take ibuprofen or various painkillers. I can get rid of the back problem if I really work at it. I can't get rid of the foot pain at all though. And I'm not sleeping. I haven't slept 8 hours in a row since the operation. At best, if my feet aren't hurting me too much and I take a Valium, at best I can get 5 to 6 hours. But often I only get 3 hours sleep a night, which means, most of my days I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty worn out. That's why I was having so much trouble, envisioning myself into getting employment. Is I couldn't have done that to an employer, to be tired most of the time at work. That just didn't seem fair. So that's where I'm at. My intention is that I will document as much as I can on my journey. It's looking more and more likely that it's going to end with voluntary euthanasia. So it's pretty mind-blowing to me because, as you can see on camera now, I don't actually look that sick. And if I ignore my feet and my back, I don't feel terrible in my torso. My internal organs do feel okay, but the blood test is telling me that there's a freight train coming, and the freight train is going to hit me really hard when it hits me. So we need to be taking some pretty serious steps at this point. So that's my news. I've caught up with one of my brothers yesterday. I'm catching up with another one of my brothers today, and Rick's coming around tonight. So I'll be hanging out with Rick tonight as well. Caroline obviously knows because we're sharing a house together, and she's my best friend in the world. So I've told her. I don't want to cry for the next 6 months. I want to, a lot of you will know I'm friends with a girl called Francine, and Francine doesn't cry when she talks about the fact that she is going to go through what is called the MAiD or DwD. There's Dying with Dignity is one acronym in the US. MAiD, which is medical assistance in dying, is another one. In Australia, we call it VAD, which is voluntary assisted dying. So I spoke to Francine about half an hour ago, and Francine doesn't break down in tears the way that I do. And she's explained to me that she used to be a pastor, and just to be clear, she was a spiritual pastor. She wasn't connected with any of the religions. She was just a spiritual pastor. And through that process, she has faced other people's mortality and her own mortality quite a bit, and that helps explain why she doesn't get teary as often as I do. She did also express that she kind of feels like she should be more teary because it is a way of letting go of that emotion. So I'm sure Francine will have some things to say about this. I'll put a link down in the description to her profile. Her and I are going through pretty much the same experience at the same time, but in different countries with different laws. So Francine is terminal, and she's roughly in the last 6 to 8 months of her life. I'm terminal, and we haven't evaluated it yet, but it looks like I'm also in the last 6 months of my life. I did ask the doctor what he thought, and he said if I refuse treatment, then he would be prepared to sign me off for VAD. And one of the conditions of VAD is you must be assessed as being in the last 6 months of your life. So that oncologist has expressed that, yeah, I'm in the last 6 months of my life, assuming I don't do treatment. And on that topic, he did explain to me I could do treatment and it will extend my life, but I will be trading off quality of life for quantity of life. And I would rather have the quality rather than the quantity. I mean, my quality of life is already pretty bad. I'm not loving life every day, but I do have the odd moment of joy. You know, you've seen that with the Paul and Ricky stuff, and take my word for it, when I'm with Caroline, I do feel really good. So it's not like I have no quality of life. It's just that I have a significantly reduced quality of life, and the thought of having, radiation therapy or chemotherapy or another operation in order to extend my life more but give me less quality of life than I have now is just not acceptable to me. I'd rather have quality over quantity. And Francine has expressed the same thing for her, that she wants the quality. A long awful life is not as good as a short wonderful life. So that's the way that's going to go. I don't know that I have a lot more to say at this point. It's going to be 2 to 4 weeks before I get the PET scan. I am going to tidy up a few things to do with my life in the next 4 weeks. I'll probably keep you informed of that. I know I've got my to-do list of the terminally ill stuff, so I'm going to have a good look at that and hopefully complete the whole thing that's relevant to me. And I will update you on those things. And if it turns out that when I road test it that there's something else I need to put on that list, I'll put it on that list. So I should be able to give you a terminal person's to-do list as tested by a terminal person. So hopefully I'll be able to leave the world that. And hopefully that'll help people that go through this situation, and even people that don't. Even if you're not terminal, for example, I think you should have a will. That doesn't need you to be terminal. People die every day in car accidents and what have you. So having a will is a smart idea. Having a sealed envelope with the PIN to your phone and the PIN to your ATM and the passwords to your critical accounts, having that in a sealed envelope in a safe that someone else can get to sounds like a good idea, whether you're terminal or not. So I'm sure we'll get time to talk about all of that as time goes on. So that's where I'm at. And what I need is positivity from you. I want to get to a point where I'm not crying all the time. I want to get to a point where I'm excited for the next part of this journey. That's what I want. So
Yeah, so thanks from Paul in Perth. Remember what is otherwise known as the care button, the like button is actually, I'm treating it as care. So if you do care for me, please just click that button and stay with me because, yeah, it looks like we're doing this for real. So talk to you later. See ya.